Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. So tonight I am on the road and I am heading to a little meeting, and it's going to come to our normal Post Daily Dose time. So I thought I would have you guys ride along with me and just get to you a little bit early this evening. And I'm just driving down the road here. So I hope everyone had a good day, and thanks for joining me. Is this called On the Road Parenting? I have no idea what that means. It was just a quick topic to put out there to you guys. Just got off the phone a little while ago with a group out in Colorado. Going to be heading out there in the new year to do a talk for foster parents and caseworkers. And that is, and so the title, kind of the working title of their conference or theme or goal, oh my gosh, traffic is horrible. This is horrible. The working topic, but look at that freaking sky. If you guys can see the sky, I'm driving over by Lake Hefner in Oklahoma City, and it's not quite full night, and so I can just see the dusk. It's really beautiful. So isn't it amazing how you can have such stress with things like traffic, and then combine that with right on the other side of that is something beautiful like the weather and the sky. Just amazing. So having a talk, and the kind of the working goal of this conference is to improve communication between parents and between caseworkers and foster parents. And it reminded me of when I first started working in the field. I spent a lot of time with foster parents as an intensive in-home worker. And then also, and I've spent a lot of time with foster parents throughout my whole career because I've done a lot historically with social services. So I'm always working with caseworkers and working with foster parents and adopted parents. Some of my dearest, closest friends are foster caseworkers, and as well as foster parents. And it's such a challenging role, both sides. In fact, so my daughter now, my oldest, Michaela, is a caseworker for the state of Oklahoma. And it's such a challenging role on both sides of the table because it's ultimately two really stressful positions. You've got caseworkers who are dealing with some of the most traumatized children in our society. They have caseloads that are way too big, and the demands are great. And then you have foster parents who are trying to raise these traumatized children. And go back to the Post Daily Dose and watch my episode on Is Your Child a War Veteran? Because that was the day after I did a presentation to Hampton Department of Social Services a couple months ago, talking to their foster parents. So you have these parents who they most of the time go into fostering because they just want to create an opportunity for a child in need to have a home. And so there's this idea, almost just like with the caseworkers themselves, who go in and just want to make a difference in a child's life. Neither of them realize that oftentimes they are signing up for something really, really challenging, and perhaps the most challenging undertaking they will have ever experienced. I can say that by far for social workers who are new, like my daughter. No matter how much, and she's grown up with me as a social worker, so no matter how much I tell her about the atrocities that we as human beings can commit upon children, she couldn't really comprehend it. And let me digress just to another thought. I remember when I used to do a lot of parent camps and therapist camps, and I would have parents and therapists come in for a few days at a time, and we'd do this really intense emotional work. And it was the same as when I would go work with families in their homes. Cognitively, we can only talk about it to a level. It's just cognitive. The work in and of itself is emotional. And this is really the challenge for both the caseworkers and the foster parents is hey, Stefan from the Netherlands, good to see you this evening. Mom, Debbie, Sylvia, good to see all of you. This is really the challenge. This is social work, parenting, foster parenting is not a cognitive challenge. It's not a cognitive experience. It is an emotional experience. Parenting is an emotional, it's dominated by the emotional brain. You know, being a caseworker and working with families in stress and children who've been traumatized, it is an emotional experience. And we keep approaching so many of these things like they're thinking things, like they're thinking problems. These are not problems of thought. These are problems of emotion. If you're a parent who's struggling with children or a child or children in your home right now, you're trying to think through the challenges. And as you're trying to think through the challenges, the problem with that is that you're not paying enough attention to the emotion. It's the emotion that's creating the chaos. It's not that you're not smart. It's not that you're lacking something. It's not that you don't know enough. It's not that at all. It's the emotion that's creating the chaos, because of what a lot of people don't tell you, whether they're psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers, therapists, what have you, is that the right hemisphere actually dictates to the left hemisphere of the brain. The right hemisphere dictates to the left hemisphere of the brain. So when you're stressed, that which is a part of your right hemisphere, it dictates to the left hemisphere, your thinking brain. That's why when Joseph Ledoux says in times of stress, our thinking processes become confused and distorted. In times of stress, our thinking processes, and I'm pointing because I'm pointing meaning my left hemisphere, because my right hemisphere is informing my left hemisphere. My thinking becomes confused and distorted. My short-term memory is suppressed. It's because these challenges that you face as parents, the same way as the challenges that social workers face, they're emotional. Calm the emotion. And this is so much of what my whole premise is about when it comes to raising children and seeing children differently and working with trauma. It's about calming your stress, because I understand, not only do I understand, but I know that as long as my brain is in a state of stress, my thinking is not going to be clear. It's not going to be coherent. And so it's just so important for us to keep in mind that you keep wanting to read another book, or you keep wanting to, attend another lecture, or you go and sit down with your therapist in their office and you guys just talk and talk and talk and talk. Quite frankly, it's the biggest waste of time. I'm not going to say the biggest waste of time. It can be a huge waste of time if all you do is go in your therapist's office and talk, because it's all cognitive. It's all cognitive. Well, what happens as soon as you leave your therapist's office and you go home and you get stressed out? Guess what kicks in? The stress kicks in and takes over the thinking. That's why you have to dial into your emotions. You have to tune into your pain. You have to be okay with going into the hard stuff and looking at it and analyzing it. And as I've defined trauma before, trauma is defined as any event, any stressful event which is prolonged, overwhelming, and unpredictable. So any stressful event which is prolonged, overwhelming, and unpredictable. And when that event continues on, unexpressed, unprocessed, and misunderstood, that's what makes the difference between a short-term stressful experience versus a long-term, potentially life-altering traumatic event. You guys are hearing my radar detector, because Big Papa has a heavy foot, and I got that from my mama. I think that's called being a lead foot. My mama is a classic lead foot. She just drive so fast, she just be stressing me out. I ride with my mama, and oh my gosh, woo, she just keeps going, and I absorbed it into my DNA, and I just drive too freaking fast. I'm driving the speed limit right now. I'm only going 60 miles per hour. So anyway, when we I got distracted by my talk and speeding. When we are only talking I know exactly what I was going to talk about. When we're only talking, we're only operating from the cognitive, and the cognitive is dictated to by the emotional. So when it comes to the difference between a short-term stressful experience and a long-term, potentially long, life-altering experience, the difference is in our ability to express, process, and understand. You see, understanding comes third to expressing and processing. You must be willing, as Sheldon Kopp, he wrote a book called The Psychotherapy Guru back in the 70s. He also wrote a book, the first book of his I ever read was called If You See the Buddha in the Road, Kill Him. This guy was an irreverent psychotherapist back in the day. But one of his statements I love and continue to always come back to is, before you can get out of something, you must be willing to get into it. Before you can get out of something, you must be willing to get into it. Wherever your pain is and whatever those challenges, and sometimes parents don't even know, you have to be willing to spend some time with it, dig into it, feel the experience, feel the pain, feel the emotion. I always say honor. The meaning, the Greek translation of the word honor is to assign an intent no greater, no less than what was deserved. So when you've had a painful experience, a trauma experience, you have to assign the value, the intent to that experience, no greater and no less than what was deserved. So if it hurt, and you got to be willing to honor that pain. And that's the first level of moving from a place of carrying trauma lifelong versus making it a short-term stressful experience. So in summary, I just want to say the things that we struggle with, guys, it's emotional. Dial in, tune into the emotion. When your child is in a behavioral episode and you start trying to think about it, you're looking at it in the wrong way. The first thing you got to do is calm your emotions and then start thinking about how can you calm their stress and calm their fear, which is all emotion, to help diminish the behavior. That's the answer. That's the key. I talk about that all the time. Stress Model 101. So keep that in mind. And remember, in any given situation, and this is a challenge, any given situation, we can react. And when we react, I want you to understand this. When we react, we are without thought. We are without consciousness. We are unconscious and we are in autopilot. We're on autopilot. It's automatic. So in any given situation, we can react from our same old imprints of fear and stress and overwhelm. We just do things automatically. Or we can stop, and you may not be able to stop right in that moment. It may take you, you may have to have a momentary experience of that reactivity, of that fear, of that stress. But after that happens, because that amygdala is automatic, you have the capacity to stop. Take 3 to 10 deep breaths. Calm that amygdala down. Calm your cortisol down. Turn on your oxytocin. And when you can do that, your thinking comes back online. Your short-term memory is available again, and that's when you choose love. And that's what I hope for every single one of you. So thank you for joining me. I hope everyone, you lay your head down tonight. I hope you rest like an angel, and I hope the cortisol clears your cells. And I hope in the morning when you wake up, you are feeling empowered, you're feeling inspired. I want to encourage everyone tomorrow, I want you to touch someone in the most loving way and say something that they will carry with them for the rest of their life. That's a big ask. That's a big ask, but I'm going to ask it. Tomorrow, I want you to change someone's life. When you go to bed tonight, I want you to go to bed with thoughts of how you can bring love into someone's life tomorrow. We're going to do that tomorrow. I want all of you to plan on touching someone's life, transforming someone's life tomorrow. We're going to do our little part in changing the world. God bless you. Big Papa loves you, and we'll see you tomorrow.